Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about a sensitive subject. We're going to talk about my nuts. No, I'm not talking about what you think I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about these. These are the adjustable nuts that I currently have in my space. I use these to put on attachments that I don't want any slop on. For instance, if I'm using a leg roller on an upright, if I'm using a weight pin, maybe on my Straydog hike sled and I need to move it around, or on something like my UDA or on my new Fig Jam attachment from Black Widow Manufacturing, in which case I might be putting some handles on it. Now, traditionally speaking, we would be using normal 1-inch nuts. Now, this is like a nicer one that comes with the Rogue weight pin. It's nice, but the problem with nuts like this and nuts like you would use a wrench to get on is that you can tighten them to a certain point, but you really can't get that nice snug fit just using your hands. And that's where these other options come into play. So the first thing I want to cover is the Monster Knurled Knob from Rogue Fitness. Now, this very high detail level steel and acetal blend of excellence is really nice, and it weighs a considerable amount. It feels good in your hand. That knurl is actually really grabby. It feels good, and it provides a lot of dexterity as far as your ability to grab this thing and thread it in. Coming in at $20, it's also one of those things that we thank God Rogue is as big as they are, because in order to get this down to $20, it almost seems like Rogue would be taking a loss. The high quality materials of steel and acetal brought together in a very precise manner means that this is kind of an unattainable thing for a smaller company to actually manufacture and make. One of the other cool parts about the Rogue version is that they're $20 for one, but if you add a second one into that same order, you actually save $5, making them $17.50 each. Now, I know what you're saying, that's not that big of a deal, but it's actually like a 10% off coupon, and seeing as how most attachments that you need to use these with come in pairs, getting a pair of these for $35 plus shipping tends to make a lot of sense. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no other contenders in the market. So the second one that I wanted to go over was the Straydog adjustable nut. Now, Straydog used to have a different version of this adjustable nut. It was made out of aluminum and it had some UHMW that was kind of like bolted onto the back of it. I had those, and honestly, I liked them. I thought they were pretty good. That's until they came out with this new one, which is made out of a single piece of machined acetal. Now, the nice part about it being made out of acetal is that it has that nice impact resistance. It looks good, it's plastic, it feels good in the hand. It doesn't have a knurl. It has these knobs that are kind of machined into it. Now, between the two, I actually find that the Straydog kind of outperforms the Rogue version in some ways, but not in others. So when it comes to actually threading it on, the Rogue version tends to take a little bit extra to actually get the threads to initially take. After that, when you spin it, because it's steel on steel, it tends to require a couple extras because it'll kind of vibrate. It just requires a little bit more work. And we're talking like we're splitting hairs here, people. This one, because it's made out of acetal, you have different materials, and the acetal is just a little bit, we'll call it slipperier. It tends to just kind of thread on it. If you hit it just right, it'll basically thread all the way there, and then you can tighten it. The reason that I'm covering the Surplus and the Straydog one separately is because as of now, November 2023, you can jump onto the Rogue or Straydog website and you can purchase these. And again, these are $20 for the Rogue version or two for $35. Or at the Straydog website, you can purchase these for $20 a piece. But if you use code KL10 on the Straydog website, you save another 10%, which essentially makes them near the same price. And they're coming from the same area, so the shipping is going to be pretty comparable between the two. Now let's get on to the surplus strength version of the adjustable nut. Now, not currently offered for sale a la carte, but I did ask Jason why, and maybe they'll end up on the website, hopefully at a competitive price. But what these two do is a little bit different. These seek to take normal nuts and basically just adapt them using 3D printing technology. Now, they're both 3D printed. They're both very high quality. They're both nice and light. They feel good in the hand. The differences are mainly just in the details. Now, the surplus strength has a nice smooth face on both sides. It also has a good feel, but the knurl pattern is really unique because if you look close at the knurl pattern, it's actually that triangle that's in between the two, the surplus. It's actually that design that is kind of making up the knurl of this, which kind of is one of those small details to where it's like, as you're walking around, you're like, oh, that's a surplus strength one, because it has the surplus strength logo actually printed into the material itself. Now, the Mutant Metals one, which is the first one I saw that used 3D printing technology in order to adapt a normal 1-inch nut to be used as a hand-tightable nut. It also has a nice smooth surface on one side, a nice smooth surface on the other. It uses a zinc-plated versus a black zinc-plated nut. This might be black oxide. I'm not sure. And the difference really comes that the knurl on this is just kind of like, it looks like a standard barbell knurl, mountaintop style. But both of them are high quality. They spin on nicely. And what I actually find myself using more often than not is either the surplus strength version or the Mutant Metal version. And that's just because I kind of like the way they feel in the hand a little bit better. As much as I like the Rogue and how it feels in its size, I really do kind of prefer the slightly larger size of both of these options. Additionally, I find that for some reason, even though this is made out of steel at the core and this is made out of steel, that this version from Surplus or this version from Mutant Metals tends to actually just thread on a little bit easier. One other thing that kind of excites me about the Surplus and the Mutant Metals version is that because they're 3D printed, if they were to start offering these as standalone items, you could potentially see a situation where maybe these start to become available in custom colorways, which is just another way to accessorize your rack and kind of make it your own. Color is usually the easiest way to do that, so perhaps we'll see that in the future. Now, as mentioned before, these aren't necessarily available for sale by themselves as of November 17th of 2023. Hopefully we see these come for sale as independent items, but as of right now, and the only way that you can really get either a Surplus or a Mutant Metals 3D printed nut is to reach out to them and request a custom quote, or to purchase attachments such as the Mutant Metal handles, the Mutant Metal UDA, like a whole system, or you can try to get yourself like the new Surplus Strength rack rollers, which are of super high quality and easy to clean option. So these are the 4 brands of adjustable nuts that I currently have in my space. I did do some searching and I really didn't find all that many other options that were available readily on the internet. But if you have something different, let me know in the comments down below. So that's been it for this video. I appreciate you guys that watch these videos every week. And remember, when it comes to your home gym and your training, you should always keep it better, awesome, and of course, badass. I'll see you next time.